Hello there, I'm Toby Blanchard. You may remember me from such places as Nepean's Arts and Design Centre, or Season 6, Episode 54 of iconic Aussie television series, A Country Practice.
Did you know he was a district and Burrigan woodcutting champion 3 years running?
Danny, haven't you got some homework to do?
It's okay, I can do it later.
Do it now.
But Dad...
Do it now, Danny.
Okay, see you later, Dr. Fraser.
See you, Danny.
Oscar-worthy. Like many people, I started my artistic journey because of family. My father, Ron Blanchard, seen here modelling his favourite hat, is primarily an actor, but has always been an avid artist as well as a lover of art. His home has always been full to bursting with art books that I took great delight in poring through. His fandom of artists has always been rather eclectic, ranging from William Dobell to Frank Frazetta, Raphael to Patrick Nagel. He taught me how to draw from a young age, and although I was not a natural talent, if there is such a thing, I scribbled my way through all my school years. There were two big influences during my teenage years when it came to art: Dungeons and Dragons and comic books. I remember getting my first D&D box set like it was yesterday. Yesterday 40 years ago, but still. I was fascinated by the artwork of luminaries such as the two Davids, Tampier and Sutherland, as well as Larry Elmore and Errol Otis. I paid much more attention to the art of D&D than I did to the actual rules, much to the chagrin of my mates that I played with. I would take great delight in drawing everybody's characters and the monsters we would encounter, yet I would never know which particular dice I was meant to roll at any given time. And then there were the comic books. I would love to tell you that I was a prosaic intellectual who was immediately drawn to mature reading such as Robert Crumb or Love and Rockets, but alas no, I was your typical teenage boy with a natural urge to be more than I was, to be different, but admired, to be able to do things that no mere human could do. I wanted to be an X-Man, so I plunged into the world of superhero comics. I was an avid collector and reader, but had no lofty ambitions of becoming a comic book artist. That was the purview of talented people, and of course Americans. No one made comics in Australia. And then I got the call. From my mother, of all people. She told me she saw something on TV about a group of comic book artists that met up in the city once a month. The Yugle Club, she thinks it was called. So I went, honestly thinking it was going to be a bunch of comic book nerds who did fan art of Spider-Man or something. It was not. These were actual comic book artists and writers. I was blown away. A whole new world opened to me. Australian comics have been right under my nose all along. I'd just been so dazed by the pomp and ceremony of Marvel and DC that I'd never saw them. Not only did I make some great friends, I was exposed to so many new styles and options for my artwork. There was the always helpful Tim McEwen, who was the co-creator of Greener Pastures, the industrious Jason Paulos from Hair But the Hippo, the wonderfully naughty Trudy Cooper and Doug Bain from Platinum Grit, the frankly bizarre Bodine America from Nightside and the Rock, the king and queen of sci-fi horror comics, Steve Carter and Antoinette Ryder, who were very proud that their comic Spore Horse was banned in Australia, Mark Sexton and John Petropoulos, who made the fantastically weird Bug and Stump, and Sam Young, David James and Chris Wall, who nearly got an actual comic book industry going with their issue of One Comics and Zero Assassin. And these are just a few of the colour cover gang, the illustrious few who actually sold their comics and newsagents. Then there was the mini-comics crew, those tenacious artists who somehow got their hands on a photocopier and would spend long nights hobbling together their creations to perhaps sell in a comic book shop, but mostly just to give away to other mini-comic creators in exchange for their latest wares. There was the enigma that is Jared Ashworth, who made many different titles, his most popular, and one that should be studied by scientists, being Weird Stress Kittens. Clint Cure from the awesome Wang comic series, Neil Blandon with a sublime beautiful art form, Tonya Walden with a thought-provoking Meus Officium Est Abyss, and Toby Neal with Ribolt Magic. It was with Toby Neal that I teamed up to produce the mini-comic anthology series Toe Jam. We did 4 issues. It was a wonderful time. I even went to the prestigious Julian Ashton Art School to hone my craft. I lasted a month before I ran out of money. So I got a job. Unfortunately, that job was, bartender.
A few
Decades.
moments later.
And then I was 40. I met my fabulous wife, and we had a child. With a family now and not wanting to go back into the memory-erasing pub scene, I decided I could do something that I would enjoy. And that's how I ended up at TAFE, doing a graphic design course. After finishing the diploma, I created my new small business called Bug Hop Designs. I spent the next 2 years very busy. Strangely, I hardly did any graphic design. By pure happenstance and blind luck, I had mostly fallen into doing digital illustrations for independent publishers of tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons. I loved it, but after doing the books, we found out that after taking out overheads, I was earning a profit of about $1,000 a year. So we decided on a new tack, something I'd always wanted to do but had never had the nerve to pursue. I would become an art teacher. So back to TAFE I went. This time I would learn visual arts and all that entails. But not only to become an art teacher, but also to find my art. Because as I have gone through this journey, one thing has become very apparent. My art, the art I've done for most of my life, is produced for others. Now we could bog ourselves down in the discussion of aren't we all doing our art for others? And there are merits to that conversation. But mine is a situation quite literal. I've always been paid for my work. A nice problem to have, of course. Even back in my comic book days, I had been looking to sell comic books. In truth, it was merely to impress the other comic book creators. So where am I now? What do I want my artwork to say? What do I want to say? The search for profundity is overrated. If we're all going to die, why isn't everybody running around screaming? Is it really about the friends we made along the way? Because some of them are right tits. Is legacy a thing if you don't believe in an afterlife? Do these pants make me look fat? All questions I shall get to in time. Or not. To wrap up this meandering presentation, let's just have a look through some influences, some of the work I've done over the last couple of years. Jamie Hewlett, co-creator of Tank Girl, and more popularly known nowadays for the band Gorillaz. Alphonse Mucha. His line work gives me tingly feelings deep in my bits. Sergio Aragonés. Mad Magazine was a mainstay of my youth, and Sergio and his loose style and ability to have his characters emote was second to none. Norman Lindsay, another favourite of my father, and I fell in love with his work too. And not just because of the large number of boobies. Brian Froud, one of the most influential artists apart from my father. Mr. Froud is probably best known for Lady Cottington's Pressed Fairy book, but I cannot stop staring at his concept art for the movie Labyrinth. There are no words for the amount that I adore these works of art. And here is a quick rundown of the kind of work I've been doing over the past 5 years. And that's it. Should you have any questions, please ask the supposedly real Toby Blanchard, who is hopefully standing right over there. And now I will fade away, having never really existed in the first place. Oh wait, here comes the bibliography. These are all the people I nicked photos from. Fair usage, for educational purposes only. Okay, now I'm going. Oi!